All right, this is going to be a good video journal entry for me to really look at what I was doing, why I was doing it, and understand that my thinking was right, but it was very scary. Here's the day chart. Again, we're looking at the day chart. Here's the day. But yesterday was this day here that closed underneath all three important moving averages. There's a lot of space to come down to the 200 and even this pivot right here. So there's room for this day to come down. What happened as soon as it opened up? I got short. I mean, as soon as the futures market opened up, it gapped up here and then it shot straight down. I said, this thing's going to keep going. So I just get short right here. I put my stop above this pivot right here. I think if it keeps coming up and goes over the top of all three moving averages, consolidates and presses, then I need to be out of this trade. And it almost did that. It started to consolidate above the moving averages and it collapsed just like a normal, everyday fake breakout does. And I almost got out right here because it was trending higher. If we look over here on the 2000 tick chart, you know, these pintails were put in. It went over the top of that high there. And I was like, if it starts to close above the 200, you know, if it clears this pivot here, you know, I gave plenty of room because a lot of times if it whips the bottom here, it can whip the top here, and then it can go down. So we know that it can whip that. It doesn't mean it's going to keep going up. So I like my stop to be enough to give it room to whip up if it's going to whip up, but still give me room for it to work out. My normal stop for 1 micro is $250. This is only like a $180 stop loss, so I was able to use structure and stay within my stop loss limit. That's what I want to do. Use structure and stay within my stop loss limit. I like that I'm using the direction to give me, you know, the reason to be in the trade. For instance, look at this 200. Definitely, 10,000 tick chart. Definitely bearish right here. Definitely bearish. And this red candle here is the candle it dropped on when it opened, but it went right back up on that green candle, which aggravated the crap out of me. Then put in a pintail like it was going to go higher, and then started to consolidate right there. It didn't, it even poked above all the moving averages and then came down in a red candle. So I'm very happy to see that it did come down in a red candle. Doesn't mean that it's going to go in my favor. It just means it's a psychological battle, because when it started to trend, you know, when it started to go higher here, right here especially, but when I saw these pintails right here and it started going up again and then the red bar ignored, you know, a lot of times that red bar ignored is the push. It'll keep pushing higher. It can push higher if it's going to reverse at that moment. If it's going to reverse, it's not ready yet. But it's serious finding support down in this area right here. I just am using the day chart, and now I'm using the hour chart. Everything looks bearish on this hour chart. There's no reason to go long on this, but I would exit my short if the 15-minute chart, if the, you know, it started to push above this area. Like I said, my stop's right here, right about there, and it poked up a little bit, starts coming down. I don't know. I just wanted to, you know, go over it in my mind. It still could go against me. It still could stop me out. But at least I have a better chance of it continuing in the downside on the hour chart. At least I'm on the right side on the day chart with it being underneath the moving averages, and I'm going short here instead of trying to buy long. You know, this is the long side, this is the short side. So at least I'm on the right side. Whether it works or not, at least I'm on the right side. I'm very happy about that, and I'm willing to take the loss if I'm on the right side of a trade and the trade and all the time charts are showing me showing me a short scenario. If I'm stopped out in that case, I'm okay with the loss. I don't like losing when I go back and reevaluate and I go, why was I short in that trade when it looked like the time charts were telling me to be in a long position? You know, it's nothing worse than going back and looking at why was I short there. This is perfectly okay. There's nothing for me to say why was I short here. I know exactly why I'm short here. So if it doesn't work, that's the best loss that you can have. So let's see how this trade turns out. I might have to go to bed and let it play itself out because it's in the evening. It's the slow market. and we don't know what it's going to do overnight. So I'll let you know. Okay, one thing I'm learning is patience, and I need to be able to hold it for at least a 1-to-1. That's my next goal, because I get out too early. Even if I take losses because of it or break even a lot of the time, I need to hold it longer. So, I basically got a 1-to-1 down here in relation to how much it had gone against me, but I'm not getting a 1-to-1 yet in terms of where my stop loss is. So I need to be able to hold it. The problem is, I'm looking at the day chart. It broke these trend lines, which is real good. It's got open space to come down here, and it's got this previous day's level that I think, if it's going to keep going down, it's going to have to reach at least that point. If it reaches that point, I should I should hit my 1-to-1, because it's right here, and my 1-to-1 is right here. So now it's all about conquering that next obstacle, which is a psychological barrier where I'm getting out too early and I'm not holding my winners. And I've got to transform that. I've got to get past that. I've got to make a breakthrough through that. If I'm going to get to the next level of paying my bills and becoming a professional trader, I got to be able to get to that point. So let's work on that today. Even if this is a loss, let's work on that today and see. And if it goes all the way up and stops me out for a stop loss, that's okay. I have to be able to hold this. That's the next thing I need to accomplish in my trading journey. Okay, here's where it gets challenging. It almost came all the way down. I mean, you could look at this as a support level too. It may not break that level, and it came all the way down. Should I just been happy and take my profits, even though it didn't quite go to 1-to-1? As you can see right here, here's my 1-to-1. Here's the level. Here's, it came down to those support levels. Very tricky. I think a lot of people would be like, take your profit. I'm still thinking this is going to break, but I could lose everything, and then it could still go up and stop me out for that loss. That's also possible. That's happened to people. It happens in trading. It's something that you have to deal with. It can go back up and test this pivot and roll back down. We see it do that often. I could put my stop on break even and just break even. That way I'm not losing anything. That's also an option. Here, it could go up and test that pivot that it just came up to that pivot and roll back down. What's good about that, though, is that it's on this side of a trend line, and that is my stop, my break even is way above that. So if it came up into that area, it could spare me if I put my stop on break even. What I really don't want to have happen, and what would really suck the most, is if I'm that close to my 1-to-1 and I keep my stop loss and it goes all the way up and hits me for a full stop loss. That's the worst case scenario for me. That does happen. If I'm going to train myself to hold and try to give it room, then that will happen from time to time. Okay, that's going to be part of the process of learning to hold my position for a 2-to-1 return. You're going to have to let it come back up to where you entered. A lot of times where you entered is exactly where it's going to come retest, and before going back down in your favor or in your favor, it'll come back to entry point. How many times does that happen? Happens a lot. Price comes back to your entry point and then reverses and goes back in your favor. That happens all the time. Not saying it's going to happen here. I'm just saying that if I'm going to learn to hold it, I'm going to have to endure that. I'm going to have to tolerate that. If I can't, I don't see how I'm going to advance to the 2 and 3-to-1 returns, which is going to help me, stay profitable and stay successful. I need to get 2 times or 3 times my risk. Okay, 1-to-1's good. I got a pretty high % win rate on this trade. So 1-to-1, I will still be profitable, but 2-to-1, I will definitely be profitable. And the only way to do that is to let it run. Okay, so I just want to put that in the video, and plus I want to go to bed. That's another thing. I should just take my $100 and go to bed, or put my stop loss in and go to bed, and put it on break even and go to bed. I got options here, So I'm just rambling right now because I want to get it all out of my mind and on this video so I can watch this video and rethink everything. I'm on the right track. I've got to push myself. You've got to push myself to hold the trades. I keep emphasizing that in the videos, and it's something that I have to focus on and be persistent about. All right, it's too late for me. I'm going to either just keep it on break even and go to bed or close it out now for some profit. I guess I'm going to keep it on break even and go to bed. And I'll see what happens in the morning. I woke up in the morning and we got 3 to 1. However, it bounced off of 3 to 1 up and it's heading back up. And I think I'm just going to close it out because I'm excited to get over 2 to 1. And I don't want it to go against me. So let's close it.
Order filled.
And we hit 3 to 1. And I probably, if I was aware of it, if I was awake, I don't know what I would have done. I might have been tempted to get out here at, to be honest with you. Here it came back down. This is where it was when I got close last night, and it came up. It did. I might have been tempted to get out right here, to be honest with you, especially when it started turning green right here, especially when it tested and started going back up, you know. But I kept it on break even all night long. So, you know, it's hard to say what I would have done if I was awake watching it the whole time. But there you go. That's the end result of this trade. I'm grateful that it turned out good for me. And it's still going down, too. So looks like it's rolling back down. So we'll see. But there you go. The overnight trade worked out good, and we got more than 1 to 1.